We're checking in with some old friends, some former Coyotes players, on today's special afternoon episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Coyotes. I am your host, Carl Pavlock. I hope you enjoyed today's episode earlier where Robin broke down the Tempe City Council meeting, planning for the entertainment district, all that kind of fun stuff. Great episode. If you didn't get a chance to see the meeting, definitely recommended. But there was something else that I wanted to talk about today. It was actually going to be something that we were going to talk about, as part of that, if we had time, but figured might as well just throw it on an afternoon episode since I wasn't able to be on that one. And that is former Coyotes players, specifically looking at players who played with the team last year for, a wide variety of these guys. Not all of them played too many games with the Desert Dogs, but always a good thing to check in on. One of my favorite things to do is to look at former Coyotes and kind of see where they are. Playing for the Coyotes is always, I think, a difficult proposition just because there's so much, off ice drama. Yeah, it definitely is something where it could start to get to you. There's a reason why when things are very bad for the Coyotes, they have trouble attracting free agents. Not necessarily saying that's the case, now. Not too many people are excited about playing in a college arena, but there's definitely some good buzz with the Coyotes. Hopefully, more once that arena deal gets announced. And kind of a major reason why I wanted to talk about this is for the first player we're going to talk about. Just a brief check in. So, not going to go too long. This one's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. So, yeah, let's dive in with Alex Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk was the motivating factor for me wanting to talk about former Coyotes players, just kind of do a general check-in, because he recently signed a contract with the Colorado Avalanche, which seems like a good place for Galchenyuk. At this point in his career, like, the guy keeps getting signed with teams, so he's doing something right, but he can't really seem to perform as much as people kind of want him to. So I think a deep team like the Colorado Avalanche, sure, he's going to be struggling for spots, but he is not going to be relied on too much, which I think is a pretty good spot for him. He's played one game with the Avalanche, so not too much time. But yeah, I look forward to Galchenyuk having a great career. I hope he just continues to play, and hope he can find success with the Avalanche. Next, kind of want to talk about the other player, the big player for Coyotes players, former Coyote Phil Kessel. I'm sure you've seen him. We saw him when the Coyotes played the Golden Knights. He is in Vegas right now. Played 24 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. Which is pretty impressive because last season he only had 8 goals with the Coyotes. So he's halfway to that total. He has surpassed the Ironman record. He is just continuing to play. Hopefully he continues to find success in Vegas. I don't want to wish the Golden Knights too much success, but I love me some Phil Kessel. Let's go to another player who recently was in the news. Anton Strawman played 8 games with the Boston Bruins, but was put on waivers. So definitely kind of a developing story. We'll kind of see what's going on with that. Strawman is definitely one of those players where I do think the Coyotes should take a chance on him if they didn't already have an extremely full blue line. If they just traded Timmins to the Toronto Maple Leafs, hasn't played any games yet. Nothing really to talk about there. So it is one of those situations where I'm like, I like Strawman. I like his time with the Coyotes. I think he's a solid defenseman for what he does, but there's no space for him. Wish him all the best of luck, though. Going to another player who has NHL experience, Anton Roussel. Very interesting cat. Was one of the 3 players brought over in the Vancouver Canucks. Not sure if you saw this during the offseason. Signed a PTO with the Philadelphia Flyers. Seems like it would have been a good spot for him. Flyers are definitely, especially in the offseason, not a good team. A team that's looking to go into the Bedard sweepstakes. So signing a guy like Roussel, veteran presence, worked for the Coyotes. Well, they didn't sign him; they traded for him. But I could see where Philadelphia's logic was with that, but it doesn't look like he's got a place with the team, which is real unfortunate. Roussel, one of those guys who I just kind of hope all of these guys have good careers. I haven't heard anything bad about any of the former Coyotes players, so wishing all of them the best of luck, especially Roussel if he decides to, say, go to Europe or if he's going to stick around and kind of see if there's more action there. Real quick, I want to run through a couple of NHL players. Riley Nash, you may remember him from brief time with the Coyotes between being with the Lightning. He's with the Charlotte Checkers in the AHL. 19 games played, 5, 11, and 16, wearing an A. Good for him. Ryan Dzingel, also in the AHL. Chicago Wolves, 9 games played, 0-3 and 3, also wearing an A. So definitely some good veteran presence there. You could tell that the AHL teams really want to keep them around. One and a couple more players with NHL experience, not as much. Kyle Capobianco is playing with the Jets. 3 games played, 0-0-0. Cap is one of those guys, never could break through with the Coyotes. I always want him to do well. I would like to see him get a chance with the Jets. Doesn't look like it's really happening too much, but maybe he can get some, good time in there. And one last AHL player, Ilya Lyubushkin. Saw him with the Sabres. He has played 17 games with them, 1 assist, which is pretty good for Lyubushkin. Not necessarily a player known for his offensive, he's not the biggest offense guy. So you don't really expect too much, but it's nice to see him succeed. He definitely provides that physicality, that defensive presence. So there's lots of good aspects for Lyubushkin, just, not really an offense guy, but there's more to playing defense than scoring goals. There's a lot more. But I do just need to say today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. It's where you can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. They've got it all at BetOnline. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find all those on BetOnline as well. It's the fastest and easiest way to get all your betting information. You can head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you, everyone. Carl Pavlock, just going to be me for another short one. Just talking about some former Coyotes players. Like I said, Alex Galchenyuk was in the news. So kind of want to go through and talk about some of the other players that were with the team. As you can tell, there's a lot of players who are no longer with the Coyotes. There was a lot of roster changeover. Not all these players necessarily played a lot with the Coyotes either. So definitely need to kind of go through these kind of fast, not getting too much information about most of these. It's tough. Not too many of them are in the AHL or are in the NHL. It's tough to get information about the other leagues. One player who is, though, who I forgot to mention, goaltender Scott Wedgwood. Wedgie, you love him. You saw him in Dallas. He's doing okay. He's played 10 games, 9.06 save percentage, 3.07 goals against. Not world beater numbers, but solid. After the Coyotes picked up Wedgwood again, he did seem like he'd be a good player to stick with the team more long term. But the Stars recognized what they had and they signed him. So can't blame him for that. And it's great to see him do well in Dallas. He's one of those guys. The fact that the Coyotes claimed him off waivers twice kind of says something. It's nice to see him start to settle down. And one more AHL player before we head over across the pond, Hudson Fasching. 7 goals, 3 assists with the Bridgeport Islanders. Hudson, definitely a big AHL guy, definitely more AHL than NHL, but good to see him kind of doing well with the Islanders affiliate. Hopefully he can get a call up. He's definitely one of those players who I think, deserves a look. Could be a good fourth line guy. Not really sure what his ceiling is. Like I said, we're going to be going over to Europe now, starting with Johan Larsson. Larsson is definitely a player who I liked with the Coyotes. Sad to see him go to Washington. He is headed over to the SHL. He's played 18 games so far, 5 goals, 7 assists. Also in the SHL, Louis Eriksson. Everyone loves Louis. 4 games played, just 1 goal. Eriksson's definitely seems to be more on the end of his career, but veteran presence, good guy to have in the locker room. Plus, who doesn't love Louis? Everyone loves Louis. And then the one big name who didn't get much time with the Coyotes, Dmitry Yashkin. Was really sad to see him injured early in the season. Would have loved to see what he could do in the NHL. Didn't get that chance. He has been captaining St. Petersburg. He has 20 goals and 12 assists in 36 games. Great to see. Like I said, I was disappointed that Yashkin didn't get a good look because he was injured so quick. Would have been interesting to see what he could do. I don't think he could have gotten 20 goals in 36 games in the NHL, but that's kind of difference in competition. Some other European players, Joseph Korshanosh is playing in Czechia. Looks like he was just loaned to the second league. Yeah, guy didn't really find his spot with the Coyotes, with the Roadrunners, San Jose. So maybe, Europe will be a good spot for him. And then another name who you may remember from late in the season, Hari Seteri. Interestingly enough, head to a Swiss league. Sorry, has a 9.15 save percentage, 2.52 goals against, solid numbers. Was a bit surprised to see him in the Swiss league. Not necessarily what you would think to be. And then just kind of going through some of the other players. Carter Hutton officially announced his retirement, so he's no longer in the league. Had a pretty good career. Had a pretty long career. Like, you don't see too many players make it to their mid-30s and be in the NHL. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him as an emergency backup goaltender, though. Those are always fun. It seems like he'd be a good guy to call if he's in the city that you're playing in. I don't know where he lives. And then other former Coyote, Jay Beagle. I do not believe he has officially announced his retirement yet, but not playing with anyone. Doesn't seem like he's going to. So, all but wishing Beagle the best. His time with the Coyotes is going to be remembered for one thing, and that's kind of a shame. But I believe he won a cup with Washington, so I don't know how much he cared. I don't know how much he cares about how his career ended. He, got to the highest point. What more do you want? Anyways, that's gonna do it. Like I said, we have a shorter episode, just kind of checking in with some players. Let me know if you like this kind of thing. If you are a person like me who likes to keep track of where former Coyotes go, this is just kind of the players from last year, but there's still plenty of like major players with the Coyotes who I'm always kind of interested in. Like, I look in and see how Connor Murphy's doing, that sort of thing. Connor Garland, I'd love for OEL to succeed. But that's going to be it. Follow the podcast wherever you get your podcast, Stitcher, Google Play. You know where podcasts are. And again, you can find us on YouTube. The show is on LO_Coyotes or at LO_Coyotes on Twitter. Follow me at Carl Pavlock FFH. Also follow Word 5, number 4, Word Howling. That's kind of where I've been posting most of my stuff lately. But thank you guys for listening to this short afternoon episode. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope you're staying safe. And don't forget to howl on.